Truth is perhaps a very difficult word to understand. As Homo sapien, perhaps what we say to the world is the opposite to what we actually think. This is the dichotomy of Homo sapien. Perhaps it's what we call political correctness. But I do not believe in politics as the best way to lead people. After all, look at the state of the world. It is literally at tipping point. And that is the decisions that have been made from the choices that God gave to everyone since the dawn of man. Now, before I tell this story, I want to offer my condolences, compassion to the royal family for the death of Elizabeth, perhaps the longest reigning monarch, along with Victoria. She had a long and privileged life, and it's a very, very sad time. But I have a story to tell you, and as well as writer, poet, performance poet, I'm also a storyteller. This story is about truth. And truth is a very difficult word to understand. What we say as Homo sapien perhaps is the opposite to what we think. Perhaps this is the dichotomy of life. Or perhaps it's what we call political correctness. I do not believe in politics as the best way to lead people. After all, look at the state of the world. It really is at tipping point. And that is the result of all the decisions made from all the choices that everyone who has ever lived have made. Perhaps we should do something about that. This story is one of lies, deceit, racism, and murder. Quite a few years ago, I met a lady on Zeus dating website. Her name was Maxine Gabrielle Brooks, and she was dying from leukemia. It was the third time she'd had it, but this time it was to take her life, and she knew that. On her profile, she had all this wording about, do not ask me about my job, it is a high-profile job, blah, 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 blah. And in the first conversation I had with Max, I asked her who you are. And she told me she was the head of MI5, MI6. So I said, if you are, then you will know who killed Bambi. Lady Diana Spencer. And she said, with hesitation, the monarchy killed Diana. And then she went on to elaborate, and she said, it was Prince Philip who gave the order to me, and I was the one who flicked off the switch in the tunnel as the blinding light was flashed at the driver, and the SAS guy fired the shot that caused the car to smash into the stanchion, killing immediately the driver and Dodi Fayed. Lady Diana was alive. The ambulance came. But why did they not rush her to hospital? Why did they keep her in the tunnel? Surely someone who was dying would be rushed to hospital, because that's where the best equipment is to save someone's life. After all, they don't carry everything in an ambulance. On arrival, she was pronounced dead. And then they embalmed her body. So you must ask yourself, why was she kept in the tunnel? And why was her body embalmed? Well, quite simply, because she was pregnant. And embalmment hides a pregnancy. She was pregnant with a Muslim baby, and the monarchy feared a Muslim contender, no matter how distant that may be, to the throne. So in effect, they murdered Lady Diana Spencer. Now, Maxine also told me about truths of Madeleine McCann, the girl with the fleck in her eye. She was absolutely preoccupied with the Susie Lampley case. She was, honestly, it really used to be on her mind all the time. Very often when we were talking, the helicopters would fly over, and she would say, "There's my boys looking after me, the SAS." A few times I got her answer machine, and it was official, MI5, MI6 answer machine. She lived in Compton Bassett, where MI5, MI6 are based, and also the SAS. Maxine owned several companies, including a cleaning company. She was divorced, her husband lived nearby, and we grew very close together. At one point, I almost gave up what I was doing in Cambridge and moved to Compton Bassett to look after her in her last days. But I had too much going on, as usual, and we just had a loving telephone relationship. We would speak for hours in the evening. She used to love dancing to jazz funk, particularly Bootsy Collins. So she would drink her wine and dance about, and we would talk about everything under the sun. Maxine is now an angel in heaven. Her name is Gabriel, along with Jeshua, who is also an angel. His name is now Michael, and they both work for me. The changes that you see happening around you are of no coincidence, and you must understand that these are the end of days. It is not the end of the world, although it appears as though it could be, but it means it is the end of the system that creates the fear that keeps the people penned in like sheep. I am here to change that from fear to love. This is truth. Now, you don't have to believe a word I say. You will always have choice, and that is what God has given to us. But perhaps the choices that we have made up till now have led us to this point. Rest assured that we are all working to save not only the world, but mankind from itself. Many things have been done, and there are many things that will be done. But what you must realize is that truth is a very difficult thing to understand. But you must try to understand. And if you want to heal the world, if you want to heal yourselves, if you want to heal your souls, then you must start waking up and try to make the right decisions from the choices that you will always be presented with. You may not believe me, and that is your choice. But this is my spoken word.